Hey guys, I'm going to be sharing my top 5 tips for first-time thru hikers in this video. If you don't know me, my name's Krista Norwick and I'm a thru hiker. I've done 4 long-distance thru hikes at this point: the Great Divide Trail, Croatian Long-Distance Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, and the Vancouver Island Trail. And at the time of this video release, I am currently walking Te Araroa in New Zealand. So I have a bit of experience that I'm drawing on to give you these 5 tips. My first and probably most important tip is don't let what other people say stop you from doing what you want to do. So if you're on the fence on whether you're going to do a thru hike or not, there's always going to be reasons why you shouldn't. You'll probably be saying them to yourself enough, but you'll also hear them as well. Like if you don't have all the ultralight gear, or if you've never done one before, you're not super experienced, or I don't know, the list goes on and on and on. Those all might not be reasons actually why you shouldn't go. The most important thing to listen to is what you want to do. Do you want to thru hike? Do you want to try it? Do you want to see if you like it? The amazing thing about thru hiking is you can go and you could do your first section, 5-day section, and decide you don't like it and leave. Like, I know it's not that simple because oftentimes you're having to get a leave from work or quit your job or whatever, but like you don't have to keep hiking if you don't like it. I've had a few people ask me, do you need to have an ultralight pack, ultralight tent, ultralight pretty much everything in order to thru hike? And the answer to that is no, both from my personal experience, because I didn't have anything ultralight on my first thru hike. I was a backpacker, so I had just regular backpacker equipment. So my pack was heavy, but I was used to carrying that. And I just did the kilometers I knew I could do every day. I didn't push myself harder, and I completed it. Obviously, you need the safety items. You need to bring what you need to keep yourself safe and fed and making good decisions, but it doesn't have to be all the best of the best gear. That's such a big cost to entry, and I don't think you should let that prevent you. Like, there's so many things that you can use that will work. I've seen so many people on these long trails with so many different types of packs. Yes, it looks really amazing when someone has a small pack, and I am jealous, I'm not gonna lie. But at the same time, I've seen people carrying cast iron pans out there and they're still thru hiking. So it's doable. So just, I guess to wrap up this tip is, don't let those sort of kind of absolute thoughts like, oh, you need this in order to do that, or oh, there's all these reasons you shouldn't do it, stop you. If you feel in your heart that you want to do it. Figure out a way to do it. It's the best thing I've ever done. Okay, tip number 2. This one is massive in terms of like your physical body, how your physical body handles the thru hike, and that is to start slow. This one is so hard to do, even with my knowledge. I am a physiotherapist, like I have my master's in physical therapy, so I know at like a cellular level why this is important, but even so, I still sometimes struggle to not start off fast because I'm so excited at the start of a trail and I'm thinking about like the 3,000 kilometers or miles I need to hike, and so I'm like, I just gotta get as many kilometers done as possible today. But what is so important to understand is that your tissues in your body need time with a certain load to adapt and strengthen. So let me break that down a little bit more for you because it sounds a little abstract right now. So the way that our bodies move is our muscles act on our bones, moving our joints. So when you're walking, various different muscles are working, pulling through your tendons on your bones to do the motion of walking with your legs and also with your arms if you're using poles or whatever. Your core muscles, there's lots of muscles involved. And how your muscles know to get stronger is by putting load on them. So a really way to think about this is if you're going to the gym and you're doing bicep curls. The way that your bicep muscle knows to get stronger is if you're putting some stress through that muscle. So you're actually lifting a weight using your bicep muscle. That muscle is like, okay, we need to be lifting this weight. So after that workout, it's actually going to go in at the cellular level and strengthen itself. So I won't get into all those details. I am a bit of a cell biology nerd, but it'll actually strengthen itself. That goes for your muscles, your tendons, your ligaments, your bones, your joints. They all receive that input like, oh, okay, we're lifting this weight, and they'll strengthen themselves so that next time when you lift that same weight, it should be easier for you, or your body will be more prepared, more strong to do it. And then how you get your muscle to get bigger or your body to get stronger is you slowly, incrementally increase that weight. So if you start with 2 pounds, maybe after the first week you go up to 4 pounds, and the next week you go up to 6 pounds, and you slowly increase the load, giving your muscles, joints, ligaments, everything time to slowly adapt to that load. And the same goes for thru hiking. It's just a bigger body experience. So when you thru hike, there's no training that you can do that can perfectly mimic thru hiking, because most thru hikers I know hike all day, every day. So you can prepare yourself pretty well, but it's not until you actually get on trail with your pack, with your shoes, on that exact trail where you're doing the exact thing that you need to be doing. And so even if you feel fit and like you've prepared, or even if not, the best thing that you can do is put that stress and that load on your body slowly over time, so that your tissues every night can figure out, okay, we need to be a little bit stronger for tomorrow. Okay, we need to be a little bit stronger for tomorrow. And your body can have that time to adapt. If it doesn't have that slow, incremental ramping up of load, so in this case, it would be distance per day, then that's when the tissues are more vulnerable to injury. So that's where maybe you could get a muscle strain, or your joint might feel sore, or a tendon or ligament strain, because you're putting more load on the tissue than the tissue is ready for. But if you slowly, incrementally do it, it'll slowly adapt up to that distance, and you'll be less likely to sustain an injury from that. Now, this isn't like a perfect like black or white scenario. You can obviously sustain an injury kind of at any time, regardless of how well you've prepped yourself. But this is a way that we know you can decrease that chance really well. So my biggest tip is to start slow. So if you have been training and you've been able to manage 10-kilometer days when you're doing your training, and you're very comfortable with that, you've been carrying pack weight, you're feeling good, then on your first day on your thru hike, I don't think you should do more than 10 kilometers. Which might feel so wild, but you should just do that, and you should do that for a couple days. So your body's like, okay, we're doing this every day now, because sometimes if you're training, maybe you weren't doing it every day. If that's all feeling good, then up it maybe by a few kilometers. So maybe then you start doing 15-kilometer days for a few days. And then if that's still feeling good, then maybe you ramp up to 20 kilometers. Do that for a few days or for a whole week. And if that's feeling good, ramp up another 5K until maybe by the end of the first month, you've slowly ramped up to 30-kilometer days. Now, this is not going to be the same for everyone. So if you right now are like, oh, I'm super comfortable with 20K days, I do that all the time, then that might be where you start. Or 30K, I mean, everyone's different. Or 5K. And the same goes for miles. Just, you do the conversion or figure out if you work in miles, how many miles you can do, like 8 miles per day, and then start there. And then everyone's sort of ramp up is going to look a little bit different. But having rest days in that time is really important, because a full day off gives your body that time to strengthen all of those tissues. And you're going to put lots of food in, so it'll really build strength in all of those tissues. And then you get back to it, so you're giving it that stimulus. Okay, yes, we need to still keep building and strengthening. And so all the spots in your body that are working with thru hiking are going to keep getting that information. So you have to sort of go with what feels good for you. So how's your body feeling? Does it feel too hard? Are you way too sore the next day? Are you noticing an ache or pain in a joint? Are you too tired? Are you not sore at all? Could you push yourself a little bit harder? You should feel a little bit tired and maybe a little bit of that general sort of muscle soreness, but just figuring out where that sort of balance is for you. And somebody like a physiotherapist that you could work with one-on-one could help you figure that out as well. So yeah, that's my big tip, is start slow. And the thing is, you do not need to worry about how much mileage you're doing in that first month, because in your last month, you'll be doing crazy mileage. Like, I did humongous days at the end of my PCT because I was just in incredible shape. Like, I did over 30 miles one day, which is wild. And I actually felt fine. So you'll make up for that distance later, so don't worry about that. And if you are worried, you can always plan that into your time, and that's what I've done for the TA. I've planned like an extra 3 weeks to allot for like a slower ramp up and more rest days at the start, so that hopefully my body can adapt, because my training hasn't been like super great this season. It's been good, but not like incredible. So I'm allowing for that time in my whole timeline of the hike. Tip 3 kind of goes along with this, which is prioritizing rest and seeing it as just as essential as getting miles done. So this ties in with how your physical body is managing it. So making sure you build in rest days so that your physical body can recover. But it's also super important mentally, emotionally. Like, sometimes you just need a comfortable bed and a hot shower, and you need that just reset. And also this includes self-care when you're on trail. So for me, there's a few things that I always do that really help me feel like it is sustainable to be out hiking and sleeping in a tent every night. So I always wash my feet every single night. Even if I'm not at a water source, I'll like pour a little bit of my bottled water on my feet and then wipe them off with the little face cloth that I carry. It's like a little pack towel face cloth. I wash my face every single night, and I put my lotion on my face because that just like feels like so comforting to me. It's such a like comforting process. I am kind of meticulous with my routines, so I do everything sort of in the same order every night and have everything laid out the same way because I really like that. But like, obviously your thing might be different, but something that like really makes it feel like you're still taking care of yourself every single day. I think that's huge for a long trail, so that you feel like, okay, this is sustainable and I can keep doing this for months on end. And if there's things that you're really missing or really craving, maybe it's actually worthwhile seeing if you can build that into your regular routine. Even if it does mean carrying, like for me, carrying lotion is extra weight. But for me, the benefits of doing that and making it feel like I'm taking care of myself outweigh the little bit of extra weight that I'm carrying. So finding those things that are like comforts for you, huge game changer. Number 4 is to use your fear. I get a lot of questions like, aren't you afraid to thru hike? Aren't you afraid to thru hike alone? Because I've done a lot of my thru hikes alone. Aren't you afraid to go alone as a woman? And yes, I have fear. I have a lot of fear. And there's so many times that I feel afraid to go and do it. But I do it afraid. And I use my fear almost like a motivator. Like, I sort of use the energy of that and put it into, okay, how can I make myself feel more safe? So like, what safety measures can I put into place? And how can I make myself feel stronger and braver, even though I have that fear? And if I notice that fear creeping in, paying attention to that. Is there somebody around me that's elevating my fear? Do I need to get away from them? Is there something about this campsite that is making me feel more afraid? Is there a vibe I'm getting? And even if I can't figure out like a specific reason why my fear has spiked, like I might look around, I'm like, okay, there's no dead trees that might fall if it's windy, there's no people that are creepy, whatever. If I still can't shake that feeling, I'll just listen to that and I will change the scenario. I'll hike another few miles or kilometers. I will set up somewhere different. I'll do something that helps me sort of calm that and use it as a guide to make good decisions. What I've learned though is to not surrender to the fear and let it fully take me over, because then I can't make very good decisions. Like, I find that my brain gets really clouded and I'm not thinking clearly. I'm like really tunnel vision. So noticing my fear, addressing it, but not letting it fully take over, that has helped me immensely. So I've learned how to, even if I'm lying in bed at night and I feel scared, I've learned how to figure out how to calm myself down in order to sleep, because I'm like, well, I'm going to be less likely to be able to keep myself safe if I get a bad sleep tonight and I'm sleep deprived. So I like talk myself through that. But the big point here is like, I am not fearless. You are unlikely to be fearless. If you're noticing fear, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. It just means that you're normal. It is a scary thing to do, especially if you've never done it. But this also ties into like the first point, which is like, yes, there are lots of reasons why you could think to yourself, oh, I shouldn't do that. But if you go out and you do it and you're able to sort of manage your fear and get over that a little bit, it can be an incredible feeling. And if you're not able to, then you can just stop hiking. And last but certainly not least, number 5 is to have something that you can communicate with people via satellites. So for me, I carry the Garmin inReach Mini. I'll leave a link for that in the description of this video. That's my favorite one because I can connect it via Bluetooth to my iPhone and then send messages, like type them out on my phone in like the Garmin app, and then the messages will send via the inReach over satellites. That to me is just essential. I'm not sure I would do these long distance hikes if I didn't have that. I love being able to still connect with my loved ones. Sometimes I just need that emotional connection, that support. Sometimes they need to hear from me because they're worried. And I've never had to use the feature, but it does have an SOS feature. Should knock on wood, but I've never had to use it. So you can trigger SOS and then emergency response teams will get your information, like your location information, and should be able to come assist you, hopefully, if needed. So it's a little bit of a safety net in that sense. And I just think it's just amazing that we have those. I'm sure there's lots of different options out there, so do your research on what you want to bring, but that's just the one that I've used now for the last few years and have really liked it. All right, so that's my 5 tips for first-time thru hikers. I hope those were helpful in some way. I'm so excited for you if you're thinking about thru hiking. It's the best decision I ever made, was to do my first ever thru hike. And if you're feeling uncertain or nervous or like you don't have confidence or any of that, it would be really funny if you went back and watched my first ever videos on this channel, The Great Divide Trail. I will put the playlist somewhere here on the screen and you can see how nervous and new I was at everything, and maybe that'll help you feel like you can sort of relate. And then if you watch some of my newer videos, you'll see like my confidence and my experience has grown with time, and that's what happens to everyone when you're out there. You learn as you go and you learn from fellow thru hikers. So yeah, best of luck, happy trails. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in next week's episode. Bye.